Hello everyone, welcome back to the programming fields. I'm Umesh Rana. In our last video, we implemented the social login in Laravel 11 in which we added the login with Google functionality. We did the project setup along with the Laravel Socialite package integration. Now in the today's video, we are going to implement the Facebook login in our Laravel application using Laravel Socialite package. So by the end of this video, you will have a fully functioning app having the Facebook login for your application. So let's get started to the practical part quickly. Firstly, we will start with this login page customization. So we will have to add one more login button and that will be login with Facebook. So let's come to the code editor. Inside the resources, views, we have the auth and we have the login blade. For the front end views, we are using Laravel bridge package. Alright, so previously I added this login with Google button here. This is basically a hyperlink. Now we will have to add one more hyperlink for Facebook login. So what I want, instead of adding the buttons in the same div, I will create one more div after this div here. So I will copy this div class flags and I will add it here. Now from here, I will cut this login with Google button and I will add it inside this div. Okay, so this will be our social login section. If I will refresh, we have the login with Google button here. Now instead of this login with Google text, here I will add image. So I already downloaded some images for these icons here. We have the Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. So I will add image here instead of this text. I will remove this text here. And inside this, I will add image src tag and I will fetch it from assets, icons. This will be our Google. Okay. And regarding this background, we don't need this. Okay. Let me refresh once. We have the large icon. So I will fix the width for all these icons here. So I will add one custom class as social link. And I will add the style for this class. So as of now, I will add the style here just above this guest layout. Alright. And inside this social link, we have the image tag. So for all the images, I will set width as, let's suppose 30px. Now let's come to the browser. Let me refresh. Yes, this is fine. Now I will add one more hyperlink for the Facebook login. So I will duplicate this hyperlink. This will be login with Facebook. I will change this icon to assets, icons. We have the facebook.jpg. Okay. Let me refresh once. We have the background white here, text white. This is not required. Adding X, this will be 3. Okay, this is fine. And I will remove justify between. Okay, this is fine. We have the login with Google, login with Facebook button. I will add title attribute for these. This will be title, login with Google, and this will be for login with Facebook. Let's refresh. And here we have the login with Google and login with Facebook. Okay. I will add some space between these buttons. So better I will add in this style, social link, and I will add margin right 5px. Okay, let's refresh. We can add it to 10px. Yeah, this looks nice now. So we have the login with Google, login with Facebook. Now we will have to implement the Facebook login here. So firstly, we will have to add the Facebook redirection by clicking on this Facebook button. Okay, so I will come to the code editor and here we can see previously we were using this route auth.google and currently we have to implement this for Facebook. So I don't want to create a separate route for the redirection because later we will have more login buttons here, just like we will have GitHub login, we will have LinkedIn, we will have X. Alright. So instead of creating separate route for this redirection, I will create a common route and I will just pass one flag here. Okay. So what I will do, I will create a route as auth.redirection and I will pass this Google as a parameter inside that. And same thing for this, I will pass auth.redirection. Here I will pass. Okay. Now I will copy this route endpoint. I will come to the web.php file. Here we had created this route as auth/Google, and this was triggering this Google login function. So here I will modify this function as auth/redirection, and I will capture this as a variable just like provider. Okay, and here I will rename this function from Google login to auth provider redirect. Okay, I will change this name to auth.redirection. This is fine. Now I will copy this function name. I will come to the Socialite controller. Here previously we set this for Google redirection only. Now I will rename this function to auth provider redirect first, and here I will capture one variable as provider. I will add dump and die provider. Let me come to the browser first. Let me refresh. Now let me try to click on login with Google button. We are getting provider as Google. Same thing if I will try to click on Facebook. Yes, I'm getting that provider name. So I will pass this provider dynamically here inside this driver. Okay. I will add one condition. If we have the provider, then this will be redirected inside this Socialite. Okay. Else I will add about 404. Now based on this provider name, this will be redirected on that page. Here I will change this message as given provider. Now if we'll scroll down, we created this function for authentication. So I will change this function to social authentication. Inside this we will have to pass the provider again. Alright. Now I will change the function inside web.php route. Now previously we added this route name as auth.google callback. That we will have to change to a common route name so that we can use this for multiple social login. Previously we set this only for the Google callback. Now in the case if we want to use the same route for the Facebook or other login, then we will have to make it common. So instead of auth.google callback, I will set this to auth.callback only, and here in the route endpoint name I will change this to auth/callback, and I will capture that provider name. Alright. Now we will have to modify the function name that we already added as social authentication. Now we will have to come inside .env file. Here we added the Google client ID, client secret and callback redirects. So previously we were using this route as auth/Google callback. Okay. So instead of this auth/Google callback, I will keep this as a dynamic something. So I will capture the provider here and I will add /callback. So this route endpoint name will be like auth/Google/callback, and if we'll check it for Facebook, this will be auth/Facebook/callback. Okay. Now we will come to the .env file. Here we added client ID, client secret and redirects for the Google, and in the callback redirects we added the redirection URL. So I will change this route as auth/Google/callback. Okay. Now we will have to create these credentials for the Facebook as well. So I will add Facebook client ID, and we will have to generate these credentials from developer.facebook.com. So let me define the variable first. Client secret callback redirects. Okay. Regarding the callbacks URL, this will be auth/Facebook callback. Now we will have to generate the Facebook client ID and client secret in the developer.facebook.com. Now let's come to the browser. Let's refresh. Okay, this is fine. Now let's open the developer.facebook.com. Here you will have to log into the registered Facebook account. Here you have the email and password option in order to log into the Facebook account. So just add your email address and password and let's log into the account. And after this successful login, you will have the My Apps option in this top right corner. Let's click on this. Once you are landed on this My Apps option, first time you won't have any application created by default. So you will have to create a new app here. Let's click on Create App. And let's select I don't want to connect a business portfolio yet. Let's click on Next. Here you will have to choose the Authenticate and request data from users with Facebook login. Let's select this radio button. If we'll expand this, so this will be used for authenticating the users with the Facebook login. Okay, now let's click on Next. Here you will have to provide the application name. So I will provide the application name as Programming Fields. You will have to provide the same email address for your Facebook account. After entering the email address, you will have to click on Next. Let's click on Next here. In the last step, you have the option to finalize this by clicking on this Create App button. Yes, the app has been created. Now you have the customization option for the app. Here we have the add and customize use cases. So we can customize the login button. If we'll expand this, we will have to add the email permission here. So let's click on add. Okay, so the email permission is added. Let's click on settings. Here you will have to provide that callback URL. Okay, so firstly you will have to scroll down, and at the bottom you will have to add the valid OAuth redirect URIs. So according to your application URL, you will have to provide that callback URL, and we have created the route as Facebook callback. Okay, let's copy this and you will have to add it here. And in the case if this enforce HTTPS is enabled, then by default it won't accept the HTTP URL. So you will have to add it as HTTPS. Okay, now after adding this valid OAuth redirect URIs here, you will have to click on Save Changes. Okay, now let's scroll up and you have to check the redirect URI. So let's paste it. Here you will have to add HTTPS. Let's click on check URI. Yes, you can see this is a valid redirect URI for the application. This is fine. Let's click on Save Changes again. This is done. Now you will have to come in the app settings. Let's click on this, and inside this you have the basic settings. Inside the basic settings, you will have the app ID and app secret. So let's copy this app ID from here and let's come to the application. Inside this client ID, you will have to add the app ID. Also, you'll have to copy the app secret from here. Let's copy it and let's paste it here. Okay, this is done. And here you'll have to provide the app domains. So we'll add HTTPS localhost 8000. Okay, let's click on Save Changes. This is fine. Let's come to the dashboard. Yes, you are done. Now let's come to the code editor again, and under the config of the services.php, you will have to create one more array for the Facebook driver. So let's copy and paste it, and let's change this to Facebook, and the key will be same as client ID, client secret and redirect. Here we will have to change the env variables. So we have the FB client ID, FB client secret, and for the redirection we have the FB callback redirects. Okay, this is fine. Now let's come to the Socialite controller again. Here we'll have to add the dump and die $provider first, so that we will check given provider name. Now let's come to the browser. Let's refresh the application. Let's try to click on login with Facebook. Yes, now this is redirected to the Facebook login. Okay, and you'll have to confirm your profile if you are already logged into the Facebook. So you'll have to select your profile as your profile name. I will select, and yes, it redirected back to the Socialite controller, and I'm getting that driver name because in the URL itself we have the auth/provider/callback. So I'm getting that provider name here. Now we will have to pass the same provider dynamically. So firstly I will add if condition. If we have the provider, then only this will allow to log in. Inside this driver, I will pass the dynamic provider here, and I will keep the entire codes inside this if block only. Okay, and in the else block, again I will abort this application with 404. Okay, now if you scroll up, now here I will add social user. Okay, I will add dump and die social user. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh. Yes, we got the authenticated data from the Facebook. Alright, we have the Facebook ID, we have name, email, avatar and other fields as well. So we have successfully authenticated with Facebook. Now we will have to check if this user exists in our users table. Then we will have to make this authenticated login. Else we will have to insert this user record inside the users table. So let's modify the code again. Here previously we were fetching the Google ID in order to check if that user already exists in the user table. Now instead of this Google ID, we will have to create a common field for managing all the providers authentication. Okay, so I will come to the create user table migration. Under the database folder, we have the migrations, create users table. Here previously we had created the Google underscore ID column, and now we will have to change this as auth provider. Okay, and I will add one more column as auth provider ID. So in the first column I will store auth provider name, just like if it is logged in through Google or Facebook, and in the second column I will store that primary ID that we are getting after the successful authentication, this one. Okay, so let's roll back this migration again. So I will type php artisan migrate, refresh. So this will drop all the migrations and this will rerun the entire migration. Let's hit enter. Yes, migrations have been rolled back and it executed again. Now inside the users table, if we'll come to the database Socialite, inside the users table we have the auth provider name and auth provider ID. Alright, now we will have to come to the user model and we will have to add the fillable property as auth provider and auth provider ID. Okay, let's close these files. Now let's come to the Socialite controller. Here we will have to check the provider ID. So we will have to pass the column name as auth provider ID. Okay, and that we will pass from this social user. Alright, else if it is not there, then I will create that user. So this will fetch from the social user name, social user email, and here we will have to change this as auth provider ID, and this will fetch from the social user ID, and also we will have to pass the auth provider that will store the provider name as Google or Facebook based on the social login type, just like if we clicked Google login or if we clicked Facebook. So I will add $provider here. Okay, this is done, and by default we will create the random password as password @1234, and here regarding this return redirect I will keep it common because anyhow after login or after registering this will be redirected to the dashboard page only, so we can keep it common. Okay, now regarding the password, I received a comment from one of our subscriber. So his concern was how the newly created user will know the password. Here we can achieve that in different ways. Either after registering the user, we can send an email with that password to that registered email address so that the newly created user will know the password, or after the successful login, we can add a page in the dashboard page that will prompt to change the password immediately after the successful login. Okay, so I'm not going to implement that functionality as of now. That we will cover sometimes in different project. Okay, this is fine. Now let's come to the browser. Let me refresh. Let me try to click on login with Facebook. Yes, this said you previously logged in programming fields with Facebook. This is basically our application name. Now I will continue to this login. So I will click continue. And here this redirected back to the dashboard page. Okay. Here we have the profile, and if we click on the profile settings, we have the username and that registered email address. Now I will log out the application. I will try to log in again with the Facebook. We'll have to continue with the profile again. Yes, again we have logged in and we have redirected on the dashboard page. Now if I will log out and if we'll try to log in through the password again, so I have the registered user and the password as password@1234. Yes, I have successfully logged in through the password as well. Okay, this is fine. If I will log out, and that's all. We have successfully set up the social login and we have implemented the login with Facebook in our Laravel application using Socialite package. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the future videos, don't forget to drop that in the comment section below. And if you have not subscribed to Programming Fields yet, please do subscribe because that gives some motivation to bring contents for you. In the next video, we will continue with the social authentication and we will implement the other social login here. Alright. And after this demo, I will reset the credentials from here. So please don't try to use the credentials again. Alright. And if you need the source code of this project, you can check out my GitHub profile. I already created the repository, so you can access that. I will provide that repository link in the description. So thanks for watching. See you soon in the next video. Until then, happy coding.